Allison Merritt, and today on Thinking Outside the Box, I am going to show you how I created these dream catcher art tiles. They can also be used as coasters. Specifically, what we are going to work on today is this one here. But you can create any of these, and they are just really sparkly. And this is actually going to hang on the wall in my new studio. And I will show you at the end of this project where that's located in the studio. This is actually the very first tutorial that I'm doing out of my studio. So I'm super excited to bring this to you, and I hope that all goes well. The studio is not complete yet. I still have a lot of my supplies to bring in. Excuse me, all of the furniture is in, but I'm not ready to show it to you yet. So I want to have it all organized and perfect, and I'll be doing a studio tour video, hopefully in the near future. But for this project today, I'm going to go through the supplies needed to create one of these, or all of these if you want. And you could, like I said, you can use them as coasters, or you can use them as art tiles to decorate your walls. And this is a frame that I got at Tuesday morning. It was about $7, and it had a little clip on it where you could clip, a piece of paper on it. Well, I took that off and I added a hanger on the back so that I could hang this on my wall. And normally it would hang this way, but since I did my tiles this way, it's going to hang like that. So I will be right back with all the supplies needed to create this project for this dream catcher. The first thing that you're going to need is your polymer clay, and my preference is Primo, and for this project we are using black polymer clay. You're going to need DecoArt Media Fluid Acrylics Interference Paint. And I used the turquoise, the violet, and the blue. And let me tell you, this stuff is magical. So you're gonna need those. You're going to need this set of cutters. In this project, I used this cutter here. And these are from RJCrafts, cutter set number 167. I will leave a link in the description for everything. You can also use this cutter and this one. They're all wonderful cutters and makes your job so much easier. So you're gonna need those. You're going to need some UV resin, and my preference is the Easy Dome UV resin from RJCrafts. And in this project, I will actually be showing you how I resin the piece. So you need that. And you also need some no wipe top coat UV nail gel. And it doesn't have to be Born Pretty, but just make sure the one that you get is no wipe top coat. It's clear and it's gel polish. It's UV gel polish, so you're gonna need some of that. And last but not least, you are going to need this set of temporary tattoos from Arteza. And these are amazing. I'm gonna open this up and I'm gonna show you all the designs that you get. Some of them are small, some of them are large, so they're great for this particular project. Yep, I missed some. Okay. I used this in what I showed you earlier, but look at these beautiful metallic designs. They're just absolutely beautiful. This was another dream catcher that I used. These are just gorgeous. And you get 10 sheets of these absolutely beautiful designs. I will have a link to these in the description below this video. Aren't these just beautiful and just so shiny? These are all the different designs you get in the pack. This is the dream catcher that we are going to be using in this project. But look at the hands, the elephant, just gorgeous. And a bunch of feathers. I mean, there's so many different things you can do with these. And because they're large, this was another one of the dream catchers I used. Because they're large, you can use them in your art tiles and coasters. And some of the smaller ones you can use for pendants. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna take my black clay, I'm gonna roll it out to a number 4 actually to a number 3 on my pasta machine. That is number 1 being the thickest. So I'm gonna roll it out to a number 3 and I'll be back. All right, I have conditioned my polymer clay and I rolled it out to a number 3 and put it on a ceramic tile. So what we're gonna do next is we're gonna take this cutter from the RJCrafts coaster cutter set and we're gonna go ahead and cut out our coaster or art tile, whatever you choose to use it as. And I'm sorry, I forgot to mention, if you're going to make coasters, you're going to need either something for the backing of the coaster. You can use felt or you can use cork. There's self-adhesive cork that you can purchase at craft stores or online, and you can get felt pretty much anywhere, Walmart, craft stores. I just didn't show you that part, I'm sorry. So we're gonna go ahead and cut this out, and I like to take my acrylic block, especially on bigger cutters, and go ahead and push down. And then what I like to do, especially with larger cutters, is I like to cut some of the clay around the cutter, which just makes it easier to come off. So you go ahead and pull off your excess clay. And I like to run this around the edge too on these larger ones to get up any extra clay that I missed. And it looks like we did pretty good. A little bit of excess. All right. Now we'll go ahead and pull the cutter up, and there you go. You have your piece. Now what I'm gonna do is, there is a little excess, and that is just stuck to the tile, which may stick to the clay once baked. I'm not gonna worry about that because I like to do my cleanup after bake. So what we're gonna do now, the very next step, is to put this in our oven at 275 for 30 minutes. And then we'll go on to the next step. So I'll be back. All right, our clay is fully baked, or not fully baked, it's been baked for 30 minutes and it is fully cool. Now we are going to take our DecoArt Media Fluid Acrylic Interference Paints and perform the magic. So I'm going to start with the turquoise, and you want to shake it up good. And I like to work out of the cap and get the gunk out of there. I'm just going to take a finger, dip it in there, and just start dabbing paint randomly on the clay. And you may be wondering why I baked the clay for 30 minutes first and then added the paint. I had showed you in a previous video how I added the paint prior to baking. And on this one, I wanted to show you that you can also add it after bake. And I like to do that on this particular project because dabbing the paint on there, you're not going to be pushing into the clay. The clay is going to be hardened so that you won't be distorting it in any way. All right, so what I'm gonna do is you want a paper towel so that you can dab or wipe your finger off. I like to get the white dots out of the center. That's just extra paint. And it's cool because this paint comes out white, but when you put it on a black background is when its color shows up. And that's because it has interference mica in it. So I'm just doing that. And this way it'll dry quicker too, so we can go on to the next color, which is going to be purple. So I'm gonna take my purple, shake it up, and do the same thing with the purple. Just dab randomly wherever you want. And essentially what we're gonna try and do is not leave any black in the background unless you want black in the background. The example that I showed you, I didn't leave any black showing. But I'm sure it'll be equally as pretty if you wanted to leave the black in there. And with this paint, you're going to get the most vibrant color on a black background. If you were to use a white background, you would have more, you would hardly see the color. It would be very, very light. All right, so I'm gonna put that cap back on and go ahead and dab these to get them to dry quicker. And now we're going to add the blue. See, it looks white, but when you dab it on, you see the blue. Just like magic. So now I'm just hitting the spots that I still see black. And then randomly wherever else my finger takes me. And that's really all there is to it. Has a very organic look. And there's other colors. There's pink and gold and green. And that's what I used in the other tiles that I showed you in the beginning, was the pink, the gold, and the green. But I really love this paint. All right, I think that looks good. Go ahead and cap my paint so I don't spill it. And there you go. Now what we're going to do is put this back in the oven at 275 for 30 minutes. And when that is done, I will return. All right, the tile is out of the oven and is completely cooled. And you can see that the interference paint just looks so cool on there. So the next step is we need to get our tile off of the tile, and you can release it with your craft knife. And we are going to clean the edges up. And all I do for that is take a file and just lightly go along the edges. And my piece is still a little bit warm, so it's being a little flexible on me. So you know what? I think I'm gonna let that cool just a little bit more and I'll be there. Definitely cooled down now. I was a little premature because it was still very flexible because it was still warm. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go along the edges and lightly file. You can also take your finger nail, and mine are a mess. Excuse the mess. It's a lot of work in this studio getting it together, and I just haven't done anything to make my fingers look a little better. So normally I don't walk around looking like that. So then you just take your file and go along around all the edges. And you see that that just breaks right off. And I'm going to go ahead and finish this off camera and show you the edges once done. Edges are all cleaned up and it's looking good. So the next thing we're going to do is you pick out the tattoo that you want to use. And like I said, we're going to work with this dream catcher here. Now there is a clear sheet over the tattoo sheet. Leave that on. Do not take that off. We're going to go ahead and cut around this tattoo. And now we are going to cut even closer, as close as you can without cutting off any of the tattoo. And this will help you position it better onto your tile. And make sure that plastic stays on there. We're not ready to take that off yet. And you just continue to do this around your tattoo. It helps when you use a little pair of scissors like this, as opposed to a big pair. And rather than guiding with your scissors around edges, just move the piece that you're cutting. And it makes it so much easier to get as close as you can. And sometimes that top plastic piece kind of gets in the way, but it's important. You don't want to take that off yet. See how I'm just, oops, not on camera. See how I'm just moving the paper as opposed to the scissors. I'm guiding the cut with the paper. And you just want to continue cutting all the way around as close as you can get. And because this is a large tattoo, I had to do it on a diagonal because these cutters, if I can find my ruler, these cutters measure 3.5. So if I were to put my tattoo this way, I would be losing some of the feathers. So if I put my tattoo this way, I can fit it all onto the tile. All right, so what we want to do is we want to position it. Let me get this little piece cut off that I missed. You want to position it onto your tile. And I am doing the wrong side just so I can see where it's going to go. And then you go ahead and remove that plastic piece when you're ready to use the tattoo. And then go ahead and position it on your tile so that all of it is on there. And then just burnish it a little. Just lightly burnish it. Now the next step is just like if you were to put this temporary tattoo onto your body. We are going to use water. And what I like to do is use water and a paper towel. And I just pour some of the water onto the paper towel and dab it onto the back. Now the reason we did another 30-minute bake after we applied the paint is to set that paint into the clay, to cure it. So if you get a little bit of water on it, don't worry, it's not gonna come off. And you wanna make sure the whole back of the tattoo is moist. You don't wanna get it soaking wet, but you do want it moist. And then what I like to do is just kind of dribble some water on there by squeezing it out of the paper towel and then rubbing it along on the back of the tattoo. Oops, that wasn't completely flat right there. You want to make sure your tattoo is completely flat on your surface or you will lose some of the design. And you just let that sit for a couple minutes. Just like you would if you were to put it on your body. And just let it sit. And then I like to clean up some of the water that got on the edge, just because. And I would say probably wait like 2-3 minutes and the tattoo should be adhered to the clay. Now, when this is adhered, you can either slide it off or you can lift it up. I like to slide it off to make sure that every part of the tattoo stays flat. And I'm just kind of lightly burnishing and holding so that I don't move this backing just yet. Then I'm just gonna take a paper towel and I'm going to dab it on there and get up any excess water. And now we can see if our tattoo is ready to go. And it doesn't seem like it wants to move yet, so we're still gonna wait. Patience is a virtue, something I don't have all the time. And I think I'll lift just a little over here and see if it has started, and it has. So I'm gonna lightly slide, very carefully and slowly, just slide the backing. Making sure not to lift any of the tattoo. And there you go. It is now on there, and I am going to let this dry thoroughly. I don't want any water left on this for our next step. So I'm gonna go ahead and shut the camera off. I would say, you know, about 15 minutes you wanna wait. Wait till that is fully dry. The water is now completely dry from the tattoo, and this next step is extremely important, and I will tell you why in a minute. You are going to paint this no wipe UV top coat over the tattoo area. What I have found, and I tested out several different UV resins along with regular resin. And what I have found is the resin likes to lift the tattoo. So I will show you. I made this coaster with the elephant for my daughter, and it totally lifted this area in here. It didn't do all of it, but it was enough to ruin the tattoo. So I'm gonna have to redo this. Now for this particular tile, instead of using the interference paints, the DecoArt Interference Paints, I used mica powders from RJCrafts, and I really love that look too. So I'm gonna be making more with the micas. But that just shows you that you can use mica powder also. And it was basically the same colors. I used a purple, a blue, and a turquoise. So this next step is very important. We're gonna wanna shake your polish really good. And we're just going to paint it over the design. And go ahead and put that under the lamp. So I'm just going to lightly brush it on the tattoo to protect it from the UV resin. And you want to make sure that you get every part of the tattoo. And I don't know what it is about the resin, but it definitely wants to lift the tattoo. And I found that the UV polish did not do that. And that way it's a good protectant. It keeps the resin off of it and doesn't affect it at all. Now just make sure every part of the tattoo has the UV polish on it. And now I'm going to go ahead and put this under the UV lamp for about 5 minutes. And then we'll go ahead and I'll show you how I apply the resin. but this looks good. I'm gonna pick it up and kind of look at it, make sure I got everything. And it looks good, so I'm gonna put this under the lamp and I'll be back. While we wait for the UV nail polish to cure, I'm gonna go ahead and I had showed you this and I wanted to show you the mica powders I used for this. I used the RJCrafts mica pigments in Purple Galaxy, Turquoise Teal, and Caribbean Blue. And I will have links to the mica powders in the description below this video. The UV polish has fully cured, and as you can see, it's shiny, and it's only shiny on the area where the tattoo is, where we applied it. So the next step is applying our UV resin. And that's the Easy Dome UV resin from RJCrafts. This resin has zero smell, applying it and curing it, and I love that about this resin. I am only going to put a thin layer on, and I usually start at the outer and work my way in. All right, now you're just gonna take a toothpick and drag it across the top of the resin to pull it out to the edges. So I kind of take it on the side and just pull it to the edge. And you do that all the way around. This project, we're not going to put resin on the sides. It doesn't need it, and it doesn't need it on the back, because you will either be putting cork or felt on the back to create a coaster. And if you're going to use it as an art tile, you don't need the back to be shiny either, because you will probably put that on a wooden plaque or inside a frame or something like that. But I like to put the resin on the top because I like the shine, as well as it protects the paint and the tattoo. So now that that is fully on the edges, you want to check and make sure that everything is filled in here in the middle parts. And then you want to run, what I like to do is I like to run a lighter over the top just to make sure that there are no air bubbles. And I'm not putting it in the resin, I'm putting it just above it, which will pop any air bubbles. And I like to run over it a couple times. It helps if you don't have an air conditioner blowing right on it, trying to put the flame out. All right, that looks good. So now all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put this under my UV lamp for 30 minutes to cure it. The Easy Dome resin takes 30 minutes to cure. You won't have any curling of your projects, not even a large project like this. There's zero curling, zero smell. It's just amazing resin. So as soon as that is done curing, I will be back. Okay, our piece is out of the UV lamp and it is fully cured. And you can pick it up and look at that amazing shine. Rock hard. Absolutely beautiful. Now at this point, you can turn this into a coaster by putting on the back side the self-stick cork. You can also glue cork to the back of it. You can use craft foam, like the really thin sheets of craft foam, and you can also use felt. and you would just lay it down onto your piece and draw the shape out, and then go ahead and cut it, and you can apply it to the back with some E6000. I would just use a little bit and rub it on there so that it's a thin coat and it's even, and put whatever you're going to put to the back to turn this into a coaster. Now you could also make several of them and turn them into art tiles, and like I did here, glue them into a frame, and I used the E6000 for that. So there's lots of things that you can do with these. Other than coasters and art tiles, just let your imagination go wild. And I wanted to tell you what the giveaway is going to be. And 3 people are going to win these amazing tattoos from Arteza. You get 10 sheets to a pack, and this one we used for our project. So 3 people will be randomly chosen in 2 weeks, 2 weeks from today, randomly chosen to win a pack of these from Arteza. All you need to do to enter is to like, comment, and share to social media. You can share to Twitter, to Facebook, to Pinterest, to Instagram, wherever you want to share, but you've got to follow the rules and like, comment, and share. So all of that will also be in the description. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I hope that you found it helpful and enjoyable. And I would love to see any creations that you make with this project. You can post that over on my Facebook page, and I will have a link to that in the description. The winner will be announced 2 weeks from today on my Facebook page. So you might want to go ahead and follow Dreamweaver Designs Jewelry on Facebook, link in description. All right, that's it for now. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you have a great week. Bye.